Alright, YouTube. Today I want to try to tackle the black and Jewish relationships in this country. A lot of people don't think it's a relationship, but I'll try to explain it to you. During World War II, before World War II, the Jewish people, they tried to come to America. They had ships, they boarded ships, a bunch of them got on. They tried to land in two places. I think one was in Puerto Rico, and not sure what the other one was here in the States. But anyway, both times they was turning around, and so they went back to Germany or Europe or whatever, and they was eventually rounded up and put in concentration camps. I actually visited one of the concentration camps in Dachau, right outside of Munich, and they actually, from some of the readings and some of the exhibits they had there of the small amount of food that they was actually feeding these people. Anyway, fast forward a little bit now to when the Jewish World War II was over with. So the Jews, they didn't have any money, so they eventually came to America. You know, it was some type of agreement or whatever. You know, it was like the United States put up a big front about how, this was terrible, the way they done to these Jewish people. And in actuality, the United States didn't even let them come into the country when they was trying to get away from the German persecutions in Europe. The Germans, not only the Germans. Well, anyway. But, so they end up eventually making their way to America. The blacks here in America actually gave these people jobs. They gave them jobs working in some of their schools. At some of their schools. You might not know that there are about 100 now. It stands at about 102 higher education colleges, black colleges here in this country. 102. So that's a lot of colleges. That's a lot of jobs. So the blacks, they gave the Jewish people jobs. So before that, there was the relationships as far as like in the South. Okay, we're going to go back a little bit to the southern United States. That was doing, a little bit, I guess, after the Civil War, Reconstruction. The U.S. government, they had this plan where we're gonna do this for the blacks, and not necessarily the blacks, for the slaves, because there was a large number of white slaves here in this country too. So, but mainly he was at the pretense of helping the blacks out. So during Reconstruction, as it was supposedly called, what happened was the carpetbaggers, aka the Jews, started moving into the South, and the Southern people. This was right after the Civil War. The Southern people, they didn't want no part of the Jewish people moving in there, taking their property, because after the Civil War, a lot of the plantations and stuff was confiscated by the U.S. government. So people could buy the property for little or nothing, I guess. So a lot of the property was being bought up. So what eventually happened was there was a backlash, and the backlash was mainly the KKK, the formation of the KKK, which started actually trying to persecute some of the blacks that was helping them, which they started persecuting some of the blacks that was helping the Jews get into the South and establish themselves. Supposedly, that a lot of blacks actually joined the Republican Party. So I guess the Republican Party got the blame for, I guess, helping the Jewish people out, and also a lot of blacks, they also got elected to big offices, like blacks got elected, I think, lieutenant governor. I think one of the highest blacks was lieutenant governor. I think they had a couple of black congressmen too at that time. But what eventually happened was that once the slave plantation owners, I'm not necessarily slave plantation owners, but some of the elite, they actually, I guess, started establishing themselves and organizing against the Jews and some of the blacks that was helping them. So I think what some of the blacks that was put into, they eventually got into the office. They eventually got into the office under the Republican Party. So there was a big backlash against the Republican Party, and I think some of the blacks that actually went to that was in office, they actually got persecuted. So now the relationship was that, especially in the South, that blacks, they have the Jews establish themselves in the South. So, and also, after there was a big backlash against the Jewish people coming to the South and the blacks getting into the office, and they was helping them Jewish people out too. So it was a big backlash. A lot of blacks was persecuted. Now it's a new movement in the North, Niagara Falls. W.E.B. Du Bois. He got together with, I guess, supposedly a bunch of Jewish people. They established the NAACP. So for many years, it was not widely known that the Jewish people, that the NAACP was mainly a Jewish organization. So a lot of blacks, I guess, was just fronting for that particular group. And eventually what happened was the blacks, they really didn't get really established that much. As fast forward now and look at how the blacks are being, I guess, persecuted by, not necessarily persecuted, but a lot of blacks are being shot down and they're being stigmatized as being criminals. So that's having a very negative effect, I think, on black people. And as far as economic-wise, it seems like blacks are not moving ahead as much. Okay, just go back a little bit. I was going to talk a little bit about blacks, the economic part, as far as blacks getting ahead. I think the main intention of the whole black-Jewish relationships was not necessarily to move a large number of blacks up, but a small amount. Because if you go back to the Atlanta Compromise, with Booker T. Washington signed, and he mainly said that it was okay to persecute black people because the agreement was that we was all for segregation. We supported 100%. And W.E.B. Du Bois, he agreed to it. This was all part of the black elite. They was mainly trying to establish themselves. This was not for the majority of the blacks.